every generation creates weak men differently. In the past, weakness came from fear, war, starvation, survival, but modern weakness is much more dangerous because it feels comfortable, it looks normal, it hides behind entertainment, excuses, distractions, and fake happiness. And the scariest part is this: most weak men don't even realize they became weak. They think this is just modern life. Wake up, scroll your phone, waste hours online, avoid responsibility, chase dopamine, escape reality, repeat day after day after day. But deep inside, many men today feel something strange. A quiet frustration, a hidden anger, a feeling that they were meant for more, but somehow became trapped in passivity. And today, we're going to talk about why modern society is quietly creating weak men everywhere. But before we begin, subscribe if you enjoy deep philosophical videos about modern life, psychology, masculinity, discipline, and self-improvement. Because this video might explain feelings you've had for years, but never understood completely. Now, think carefully about this. Human beings evolved through struggle. Men historically survived through pain, discipline, responsibility, physical hardship, danger, and purpose. Survival demanded strength. Weakness had consequences. But modern society removed many struggles physically while accidentally destroying people mentally. Comfort became unlimited. Entertainment became infinite. And slowly, modern men became overstimulated but underdeveloped. Think about the average modern lifestyle. A man wakes up exhausted because he stayed awake consuming content until 3 in the morning. He immediately grabs his phone before even leaving bed. His attention span is already fragmented before the day begins. He consumes more information in 30 minutes than ancient humans consumed in months. Then he spends hours chasing cheap dopamine, social media, pornography, endless scrolling, video games, fast entertainment, instant gratification, and eventually his brain loses the ability to tolerate discomfort. That is the beginning of weakness. Because strength is not built through comfort. Discipline is not built through convenience. Confidence is not built through avoidance. But modern systems constantly encourage passivity. The world profits when people stay distracted. Weak men consume more. Weak men obey more easily. Weak men escape reality instead of changing it. And this creates one of the biggest crises of modern masculinity. Men today are physically safer than ever, yet mentally more fragile than previous generations. A small criticism destroys them emotionally, rejection terrifies them, silence makes them uncomfortable, responsibility feels overwhelming. Why? Because their nervous systems became addicted to stimulation and comfort. Real growth requires suffering, and modern society teaches people to avoid suffering at all costs. Think about this carefully. Every meaningful thing in life requires pain first. Building a strong body requires physical pain. Building discipline requires mental pain. Building confidence requires social pain. Building success requires sacrifice. Building relationships requires emotional vulnerability. But modern culture teaches people to chase pleasure constantly instead. Instant dopamine replaced long-term purpose. And over time, many men lost their internal fire completely. This is why so many young men secretly feel empty today. They consume constantly but create nothing. They fantasize endlessly but take little action. They compare themselves to successful people online while slowly becoming more passive in reality. Social media made this even worse because modern men are now constantly exposed to impossible comparisons: wealth, muscles, cars, luxury, status, perfect lifestyles, viral success everywhere, every day. And instead of inspiring action, endless comparison often creates paralysis. Men begin feeling behind before their lives even truly begin. They feel weak compared to unrealistic standards, and eventually many simply stop trying. This creates resentment, insecurity, and quiet self-hatred. But weakness is not only physical. The weakest men are often mentally weak. Men who cannot control impulses. Men controlled entirely by emotions. Men who run from discomfort. Men addicted to validation. Men terrified of being alone with themselves. Because real masculinity was never about pretending to be emotionless. Real masculinity is emotional control under pressure. Calm calmness during chaos, discipline without external rewards, responsibility even when nobody watches, the ability to suffer without collapsing mentally. But modern dopamine addiction destroys emotional resilience. People now expect instant pleasure constantly, and when reality becomes difficult, many mentally shut down. This is why attention spans collapsed, why discipline feels impossible, why motivation disappears quickly. Modern men are training their brains for distraction instead of focus. Because confidence comes from action, not fantasy. Strength comes from resistance, not comfort. Purpose comes from responsibility, not consumption. And maybe the saddest part is this: many men today were never taught how powerful they could actually become. They were never taught discipline properly, never taught emotional control, never taught delayed gratification, never taught resilience. Instead, many were raised by algorithms, raised by entertainment, raised by internet culture, raised by constant stimulation. So they enter adulthood emotionally unprepared for reality, and reality eventually punishes weakness brutally. Life does not care about excuses forever. Bills come, rejection comes, failure comes, loneliness comes, responsibility comes, pain comes, and weak minds collapse under pressure because they never trained themselves through discomfort voluntarily. This is why discipline is so important philosophically. Discipline is not punishment. Discipline is self-respect. It is teaching yourself that short-term discomfort creates long-term freedom. Weak men avoid discomfort now and suffer later. Strong men suffer now and become free later. That single difference changes entire lives. And understand this clearly. Becoming strong does not mean becoming emotionless or aggressive. Some of the strongest men are calm, thoughtful, disciplined, emotionally controlled, and deeply kind. True strength is internal stability. It is the ability to remain grounded while modern chaos constantly tries to distract you. Because today, attention itself became a battlefield. Modern society constantly fights for your focus, your dopamine, your emotions, your insecurities, your time. And if you cannot control your own mind, someone else eventually will. This is why weak men today often feel lost. Their thoughts are not even truly their own anymore. Algorithms shape desire. Social media shapes self-worth, trends shape identity, external stimulation shapes emotions, and slowly people lose connection with themselves completely. But here is the hopeful truth. Weakness is not permanent. Discipline can be rebuilt, focus can be rebuilt, confidence can be rebuilt, strength can be rebuilt. But it requires honesty first, brutal honesty. You must admit where distraction controls you, where fear controls you, where comfort controls you, because awareness is the beginning of transformation. And maybe this is why suffering can become powerful. Suffering forces growth. Pain reveals weakness honestly. Struggle develops resilience. Adversity creates depth. Comfort rarely changes people deeply. Hardship does. That is why many men who experience genuine struggle often emerge mentally stronger afterward. The struggle forced them to evolve. Modern society tells people to avoid discomfort constantly, but discomfort is where identity is forged. In the gym, in rejection, in discipline, in loneliness, in responsibility, in failure, in sacrifice. That is where real confidence grows, not through motivational quotes online, not through fake internet personas. Real confidence comes from surviving difficult experiences repeatedly. So ask yourself honestly, are your daily habits making you stronger or weaker? Are you building discipline or feeding distraction? Are you controlling your mind or being controlled by algorithms? Because modern weakness rarely arrives dramatically. It arrives quietly through small habits repeated every single day. Endless scrolling, endless excuses, endless avoidance, endless comfort, until one day, a person wakes up feeling mentally weak without understanding how they got there. But the good news is this: every day you can begin reversing it. Wake up earlier, train your body, read deeply, spend time alone without stimulation, build Build focus, build discipline, build purpose. Stop escaping discomfort constantly, because the moment a man stops running from discomfort, he becomes dangerous in the best possible way. Dangerous to mediocrity, dangerous to addiction, dangerous to weakness. And maybe the strongest thing a modern man can do today is reclaim control over his own mind in a world designed to destroy attention completely. If you made it this far, subscribe for more deep philosophical videos about masculinity, psychology, discipline, modern society, and self-improvement. Because in a world addicted to distraction, becoming mentally strong is now a form of rebellion.